Hey YouTube, Nova Piper. There's a crow's nest right there. I mixed some the bean piper. I mixed some of his beans with some of the beans I use, and I ground up a ridiculous amount of them. Put them in my percolator, and I was pouring it out. You couldn't even see through it. It's so black. My buddy goes, "Hey man, what are you brewing coffee? You got any left?" It's like, no. He goes, "Well, why don't you make any extras?" Well, I fill the basket right up. There's no room to put any more grinds in it. But I only put that much water in it. So that's how I like coffee. Concentrated. Today I'm smoking Solani Aged Burley Flake. Peterson, 2013 St. Patrick's Day. I like the look of these curved pipes, some of them, and they're comfortable and all that, but they smoke absolutely terrible. Any bed pipe that I own smokes like shit. So why am I smoking this pipe? I don't know. I just felt like having something extra to complain about today. I enjoy smoking it. It's the gurgling is what gets me. Yeah, so I got some aged Burley Flake, and it's been sitting on in a jar for quite a while. It's probably well over a year old. But you know, I don't just pack it and let it sit and leave it. I open it and smoke it every blue moon. So I don't know. I think you're supposed to, when you're aging tobacco, I think you're supposed to leave it be. But I got some Mississippi River in there. I'm going to try to let it sit for a while. And I've got some in the tin, not open. I got some other Virginias in jars that I don't smoke because I don't like them. So they've got some age on them. And yesterday I smoked 10 Russians, and I haven't smoked it in a long time. And a tin's probably over a year old. I only smoke one bowl a day, if that. I don't usually smoke every day. Maybe 5 times a week. Depends on the weather, depends how I feel. And I always try a different tobacco every day. So it's, you know. Jesus, what was that? A bumblebee? It's right in my ear. Freaked me out. But anyway, yeah, I don't smoke a lot of tobacco. So I got all kinds of different kinds of tobacco. A little bit of each, you know. So anyway, pipe's dirty. But when I smoked the 10 Russians, it's quite old, and I don't know, it doesn't really. I don't think Latakia doesn't age well. That's what I've heard too. English blends don't really age. It's like Virginia tobacco does. Aromatics don't. English doesn't. English might smooth out a bit, but some of the big boys, I've heard them say same thing. That English tobacco, it's not worth putting the English tobacco in your cellar. And even the guy from McClellan said that too. It doesn't age like a Virginia does. I don't know anything about Burley, so I've been playing around with Burley-based aromatics. You know, aromatics with that have Burley and no flavored Cavendish. Kind of like some of the Amphora blends, and I always tell the Cavendish because to Tobacco tastes like shit. I just recently admitted, well, I just recently said, you know, screw this. I'm not going to even bother trying anymore. So I don't like Virginia tobacco. I know a lot of people just don't love it. That's all they smoke. So I kept trying it. All kinds of different Virginias. And kept trying it. It's like, no, man, I'm not going to waste my money anymore. It's just not doing it for me. So I know, you know, all tobacco has Virginia in it. Well, this is just pure burley, so this doesn't. Look at that gurgling already. What a son of a bitch. Man, that pisses me off. Gurgly pipes. Apparently I just got to drill it out, but I don't know if I got to drill the stem out. The pipe itself wouldn't be. That'd be pretty easy. It's a straight hole, but I don't know about the stem. So like I first lit this tastes really good. But I know this stuff gets a little harsh, the taste changes as you smoke it towards the bottom. Let's see how she goes. So I've been doing some recording. Yesterday I hooked up, I got one of my guitars all tuned up and restrung and set it up and intonation and cleaned it and all that stuff and shined all the shiny pieces, polished all the other stuff. It's a 2006 Gibson Les Paul Standard. It's a beautiful guitar and it sounds just like awesome. And I was playing it through an amp head, the head that I built, which is a replica of a Marshall JTM 45, built to 1960, I think it's 65 or 66 specifications. It's like one of the first amps Marshall put into production. Think of early Eric Clapton, like with John Mayall. Really early Angus Young used this amp. Doesn't get a lot of watts, maybe 30, I don't know if it's 32 or 38. It's less than 40 watts. Then I'm putting it through a 412 cabinet, a Marshall 412 cabinet. So it has 4 12-inch speakers, and they're the greenback reissues. So the model of the model number of the cabinet is a 1960 BX. So B means it has a flat face, and X means it has train. Someone put a fucking pop can up that guy's hole. Someone should tell him. His mother would be embarrassed. But yeah, it's a 1960 BX. So the B stands for the straight cab, and the X means it has the 25 watt greenbacks. So they have A cabinets and B cabinets. So the B is usually on the bottom and the A is on the top, and the A kind of has, the bottom speakers are flat and the top speakers are slanted, so they call them slant cabs. And I have another Marshall cabinet that's that style. It's called a 1960A, and it just has the GT75Ts in it, I think they're called. Those are 75 watt greenbacks. So that's a 300 watt cabinet, and because it's got 4 of them. And the one I was recording with is the 1960 BX. The 25 watt greenbacks is a 100 watt cabinet. So you gotta be really careful with that, because a lot of tube amps, like a 100 watt tube amp, you'll blow them speakers wide open. I got a 90 watt Trainer amp down there. These are all tube amps. Trainer's a Canadian company. Was. So I would never hook that cabinet up with that head, because I'd blow it. So I have attenuators. They're called hot plates. They're called, it's the brand. The brand is TH something, I forget, but hot plate is what it's called. It's an attenuator. So with a tube amp, you can't It's a head. The amp's up here. It's a head. Just the head with no speakers, and then you have a cabinet. So you got to run a wire to the speaker cabinets. But with a tube amp, you have to have speakers plugged into it when you turn it on, or you'll blow the tubes and the output transformer, and you'll ruin your amp. Not ruin it. You just have to spend a lot of money to fix it. Tubes wear out, but power transformers, man, that's a pain in the ass. So I have what's called an attenuator. So it goes between the cabinet and the head, and what it does is it soaks up some of that voltage, so that you're allowed, so you can turn the head up really loud, and it decreases the volume going to the cabinet. So with the tube amp, the way they work is you need to turn them up loud. You know, turn them on 1 or 2. That's useless. It's a waste. You might as well go buy a piece of shit solid state fucking amp. But with tube amp, you gotta crank the shit out of it to make it sound good, but your ears will bleed. So that's the whole purpose of that attenuator. So anyway, I was micing. I got using one of these, the industry standard. That's a Shure SM57. And it's an instrument mic. It's used for, you put it in front of your cabinet. Here's a vocal mic, I call it anyway. It's a Shure SM58. Another, again, industry standard. You can always tell them, you see that ball on them when you see them. Lots of people use these. So I put the 57 in front of the cabinet. And it's got 4 speakers, so I get a flashlight and I look inside the grill cloth to where the speaker is. And the mic placement, look, this is your speaker. You put it right in the center, like that. It sounds a certain way. If you do that, it sounds a certain way. You put it to the edge of the speaker. You do that. You can bring it back. And then you can do that, or that, or that. So all those different mic placements completely change the sound. But I didn't have the amp dialed in right. I just put all the tone at 12, like noon, you know, halfway. It didn't really sound very good. Very thin. Thin. But as I moved the mic over to the edge of the speaker, it kind of clips out the mid-range. So I was watching tons of videos until 3 o'clock in the fucking morning on miking guitar amps. And I guess what I was doing wrong is I had the mic pointing straight in the middle of the speaker at the cone. The cone is that little bulb that in the very center, and then it's kind of rounded, and then it touches the edge of the speaker, then your speaker comes out like that. So you're supposed to put it right where the cone meets the paper, and I had it right in the center. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the mic, not all the way over here, not right in the center, but just over a little bit, not quite halfway. Then I'm going to record it flat against the grill cloth, and then I'm going to angle it and do 2 recordings. I did 16 recordings yesterday. Different mic placements. I had the amp on around 5, just where, maybe about 4, just where it started to break up. Doesn't get much louder after that. It's called a non-master volume amp. So there's a volume knob, that's it. High, middle, low, bass. Or, high, middle, low, and presence. Presence is sort of a crispness. And a volume knob. And Marshalls aren't known for their clean tone, so you turn it up. To turn this amp up, you know, it's sort of clean, but it's right around 4, it starts to, that's the whole reason why you want to crank a tube amp. Right around 4, it starts to get what's called overdrive, like distortion breaks up. The Who, Jimi Hendrix are the ones who did it in the 60s, and you know, first started with all this shit, and it just took off. And Marshall, wasn't for Jimi Hendrix, man, he's the one who really helped out with Marshall, I guess. Pete Townsend, I think he did high watt amps. British amps are the best. British tube amps, you can't beat them. Marshall, Vox, Orange. Just to name a few. Don't like the American ones. Not a fan of Fender. They use different tubes. And all these metal guys use these mess of boogers, I call them, and they sound absolutely terrible. The less knobs on your tube amp, the better. So yeah, I started around 4. And did 8 recordings, and then 8 different mic placements, and then I cranked it up to about 7 or 8, where it got a nice heavy overdrive. Anything louder than that, it gets muddy, I find. Doesn't get much louder. And tried that, and it sounded thin. So I wanted to find out why. I was using Cubase and stuff and learning how to use that again. And I just play maybe like a 20-second riff, same riff, 20 seconds, and do a new recording. So today I'm going to try putting the mic in a different spot. I'm also going to spend some time on my amp and try to get the tone set up right. I'm going to throw in, cut some of the high end out of it and throw in some more bass. Because the way the amp sounds, and the first thing you got to do is make your amp sound good in the room to your ear. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I call it Angus Young style, just a guitar and a cable and a tube amp. That's it. Once I get that to sound good, then I can start, take it from there and play around with some effects. And all that jazz. Anyway, this pipe's it's like a water pipe, man. Do it. Tobacco's not that bad though. Solani Aged Burley Flake. I'm gonna try to smoke it like really slow, slower than what I normally do. So it tastes pretty good. I got a thing for burley. I just got to find the right one. Anyway, that's about all for today. I could keep going on, just rambling about music, but you don't want to hear that. You want to hear about pipes, I guess. Pipes and music. That's what Buddy's channel is, Pipes and Music. He gets it. Totally gets it. Anyway, everyone take care. Thanks for watching, and we'll see ya.